You are listening to the global network of podcasters dedicated to the pharmacy profession. Welcome to the Pharmacy Podcast Network.
Welcome to the 2026 McKesson ideaShare Rewind, a Pharmacy Podcast Network exclusive series of on-site interviews captured inside the exhibit hall of one of the largest community pharmacy brainstorm events, empowering current and future independent pharmacists with deeper connections, new ways to innovate, and strengthen numbers for the voice of community pharmacy. This 4-part series brings you back to the action in Denver, Colorado. Thank you to the Independent Pharmacy Cooperative, IPC, for sponsoring this coverage of the 2026 McKesson ideaShare.
John Covello back on the Pharmacy Podcast Network here at McKesson ideaShare. John, you have a special guest. We have a really special story we're going to dig into. Introduce your guest to us.
Yes, I'm going to introduce Tim Lawson from Metropolitan Drugs in Metropolis, Illinois, who's an IPC member, very active in the state of Illinois, and really been a beacon of what we want as an active pharmacy owner when we're engaging policy changes that lead to outcome differences at the counter. Tim has been vigilant in fixing problems and addressing the problems of underpayments in critical area needs for vulnerable patients in Medicaid. Also identifying for us in Part D, which will be a topic, Tim, for another day,
yes,
the problems as we look to the future of how we're going to implement these PBM Part D reforms. But, Todd, what we really want to talk today is really good news in Illinois that's making a difference to hundreds of pharmacy independent store owners and other pharmacy owners in Illinois like Tim, how we didn't fully fix Medicaid managed care reform yet in Illinois, but we got the policymakers in Illinois to realize critical access and potential deserts and the risk of future deserts had to be fixed. So I'm going to let Tim introduce himself, and then I'll give you a little bit of the background on how we created a program and what the stores had to do to get into this to help themselves serve their patients.
Tim, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me today. My name is Tim Lawson. I'm a retail pharmacist in Metropolis, Illinois. It's a rural area, underserved area. My wife, Leslie, is also a pharmacist. She is the second generation that's been serving in our community since 1974. And my son, who unfortunately is not with us today, his name is Hayes Lawson, and he is the third generation service member.
That's cool. All right, so before we started recording, John, you were setting the stage for some of the wins in the great state of Illinois.
Really, Tim, the last 2 years, there was a lot of effort, and I think some of the catalysts of this was the reductions and cutbacks at Walgreens and its impact of what it meant. When any store closes, the residual ripple effect is there enough of infrastructure to help those patients?
Yep.
And unfortunately, Tim, I'm sure you can talk about it. Under the old system, you had really tough paradigm choices. Could you afford to help every patient? What scripts for these vulnerable Medicaid patients could you not afford to carry because of the way the MCOs were woefully underpaying pharmacies, but yet overbilling the state? So I think, Tim, it's good to sort of level set this. What was the old system we faced before we had this fix?
Well, the old system, we didn't have any checks and balances there, and we had very expensive medications we would have to carry for some of these patient populations. When you talk about underserved areas, you have to understand, in the state of Illinois, we had 5 different managed care providers. And some of these managed care providers was underwater paying us on brand name medications. For example, we were getting a fee structure that was decent, but we may be underpaid on a GLP-1 like Ozempic of $100 to $150. Well, you can't really stay in the business if you're not if you're doing that. And then you would see the commercial side being a similar situation. So it had a rippling effect, especially on the chain network, because we brought representatives in and started showing them real numbers and how it could affect, how it was affecting us, but how that rippling effect was having an impact on some of the chain networks.
So talk to us about how this came to be, the legislation itself, and how you really are attuned to it. You're tied in. You understand the impact to your business.
Well, we've won some battles in the state of Illinois.
Yes, we have.
But we haven't really won the war. So really what it came down to was Illinois had two pieces of major legislation that tackled prescription drug pricing in their state. One of them was the Prescription Drug Affordability Board.
Right.
That's the Senate Bill 3496. That passed May of 2026 this year. What that does, it creates an independent board that has the authority to set the maximum set prices or the upper payment limits on high-priced items. It really focuses on drugs that's already met on the Medicare negotiated price list. And basically it's going to save taxpayers and lower costs for consumers. The next piece of that was instrumental, was the HB 1697. That's the Price Drug Affordability Act, and that law was signed in July of 2025. And what that really did, it regulated the PBMs. And we needed regulation, correct? And what it did, it prevented price gouging. It had improved transparency. It banned spread pricing. It regulated the PBMs to pass 100% of the manufacturer rebates directly back to the consumer plans. It prohibited steering patients to pharmacies that the PBM owned, or mail order house or specialty pharmacies, so it made the patient have more accessibility to the needs in our communities and the questions they need to be asked. The law also implemented a fee on those PBMs that generated funds, and really that's what we really want to dive into and talk about today, is because it generated those funds to be allocated to sustain and support healthcare in these vulnerable areas where patients need to have accessibility to care. Now, John can talk a little bit more about, he was instrumental. We fed him, we talked to him. He's worked and been an advocate for us. We use him all the time. But we all have to be, as pharmacists, advocate and know our state legislators, be involved with our associations, federal association, like the National Community Pharmacy Association. I'm a part of the Illinois Pharmacy Association, and those types of things.
Well, and Todd, we've talked about this on past programs. I appreciate what Tim's saying. I'm their agent out there working every day for them, but they're our secret weapon. There are superstars out there, and in Illinois, this really came about through a major coalition effort. State Association. I got to give a shout out to the Illinois Pharmacy Association,
Absolutely.
The Illinois Retail Merchants Association, Walgreens. Every pharmacy group out there, independent, anybody community-based, to deal with this problem. And what they did was the state tapped into finance sources, including forcing the PBMs basically to give back part of the money in this fee, leverage that to get federal matching money of Medicaid. And what they did was they created two pots of money. One is called the Critical Access Program. For stores like Tim's that were already in this, they were getting, what, Tim, correct me if I'm wrong, about $5 a script?
Yes.
We didn't fix the full funding formula like we've done in 18 other states around the country. But this is an important first step of a lifeline for communities. It's really a community lifeline program is what it should be called, where increasing the dispensing fee for Medicaid-eligible scripts for these stores that meet these criteria of being underserved area or high Medicaid volume We took it from around a $5 strip to $22.01, correct, Tim?
Yes, it went from 5 to 15 something,
Right.
then to 21 something.
Right.
Yes.
So think about that, Todd. We're talking about a fourfold increase of what they were getting compared to these other pharmacies doing Medicaid patients that are probably getting around $2 to $3. So what did that do? That was the basis to expand the protection for vulnerable communities and vulnerable patients, that they wouldn't lose their pharmacy.
Yes.
And everybody had to go through the program. The state decided that. But to deal with still the other vulnerabilities, we also fought for a second pot of money called the DECO program, which is done through the Economic Development Department of the state of Illinois.
Okay.
And what that would be is you would have similar criteria if you weren't in a formal federally designated underserved area, that you're still serving underserved Medicaid patients. And what they did through working with the industry to devise it with the department, after people had to fill out applications, it's an annual amount of money people get. About 450 stores have now gotten just shy of $54,000 as a one-time annual funding to the Lifeline to keep them serving those populations. The important thing of the difference, though, for what Tim's doing that's important in a rural community, that's a one-time amount of money, which is helping a lot of stores. We heard feedback from stores already telling us, Tim, I can't tell you how far this is going to go to help me. You know,
It's great.
because the governor just announced it last Friday. So when we're coming to Pharmacy Podcast with Todd is like breaking news about this. But Tim, since January, has been getting, and him and the other brethren in that pot have been getting this per prescription on a dispensing fee, every script they fill. So it's going to be a different amount of money that adds up to that $40 million out of that pot that will go to serving those patients. So I think the important lesson here is that all of us working together and energizing our members that this felt a need for them in their communities. And Tim, I even know, like, they heard from mayors and communities of their concern of needing this.
Oh, absolutely. I think that pharmacists needs to not only get to know these representatives, they need to bring them into the pharmacy.
Right.
We had a state representative come into our pharmacy, and we gave them specific situations, and before they ended up voting on some of these bills.
Yeah. But I know, the local officials, of them being strong voices to their legislators is always a very important, potent piece to this. So, what we're talking about is every store will know, more so in the year, what the true benefit of this is. But I can't think of too many other states where we've been able to get this much money going directly into community pharmacy. And Todd, it's all accountable back to the state. They're the ones paying this. They're the ones tracking this. It will show outcomes. But our job's not done, right, Tim? It fixed one side of the equation of what they needed to do this year to keep the doors open. We got to fix the rest of the problem. The state auditor of Illinois has identified that the PBMs are overbilling the state of Illinois annually at least $100 million.
That's crazy.
What they pay the pharmacies versus what they're charging the state of Illinois through the managed care organizations. The rest of it has to be fixed. Like I said, you have 14 states around the country that still do it through fee-for-service where Medicaid is paying directly, but we're up to now 20 other states, with 34 states now having a cost-based pass-through where the PBMs can't rip off to taxpayers, harm the patients from not having access to their pharmacist of choice. So I actually appreciate the work you guys saw us doing, which I love doing, but I got to applaud every Illinois pharmacist like Tim, that you guys were the secret weapon. And Todd, how many times have we talked about they don't realize the kinds of superpowers they have of, through knowing the relationship with your patients better than any politician. And if they came in your store and saw your relationships with their constituents, they would know they have to pay attention to what you're saying.
Well, we appreciate that because we're there to serve our communities and take care of our patients, because we know them. When they walk in the door, we know their name. So it's important for us, but the work's not done. John can maybe touch on it. Is in June, the PBM filed a lawsuit against our state.
Right.
So, and they're trying to fight these things. I believe that it is basically claiming it conflicts with the federal benefit regulations.
Yeah. They're suing over that disclosure law, saying it violates ERISA. So, Todd, how many times have we talked about this? You probably had other people
Dozens
on your podcast.
Yeah.
What we do in advocacy, but how it translates into how we have to keep fighting for the industry. It's a marathon. It's never a sprint.
Yep.
To me, I think, Tim, that's why the stores are vitally important to that. Our work really begins once a law passes to make sure it gets done right. It shows up in a change and a difference at the counter for the patients and the communities Tim and every other independent pharmacy and any community pharmacy is serving, right, Tim? You got to see where it's making a difference in how you run your practice.
Absolutely, yeah. So this is going to help us so much just in our area. We already have plans of trying to expand services in our community, expand delivery services, these patients that can't get to our pharmacies, making things accessible to them, making sure these patients are compliant so we have better disease outcomes on these patients. So it's really dollars that they're using to really invest into the lives of our community.
And with all the cuts coming and the work they're trying to do with rural health transformation, I firmly believe as we fix the foundational problems of the dysfunction of what the PBMs have created, especially in Medicaid managed care, members and any independent pharmacy or any community pharmacy like Tim, you're going to be crucial to making those dollars go further. If anything, state governments are going to need pharmacies a lot more really than we need them, because they will not be able to succeed making these dollars work without including us in everything and paying us fully for the cost of the services.
Yes, yeah. And we need to follow the outcomes on these patients.
Absolutely, absolutely. So Todd, I think this is a very interesting case study.
Absolutely.
Of how member identifying problems, advocacy coordination, involvement of people in the community, helping us be knowing what we're really doing, working the governmental system, but educating the legislators for what they didn't know. And I got to give credit to Governor Pritzker. He made this change. A lot of these reforms in these states, we've seen it in democratically controlled states. I've seen it in Republican-controlled states. Mm-hmm. I've seen it in purple states. The only consistent thing, it's not red, blue, or purple that matters in this, it's green. The color of money and the fact that the states are finally wising up to the facts. The PBMs have not done what they promised them in their own studies said they were going to do, which was save them money on vulnerable Medicaid population prescription costs. It hasn't happened.
No, it just
if anything,
made them
the opposite happened. And, change takes time, but you also have to be vigilant. But I hope, Todd, what we can do maybe at the end of the year, when we see the full benefit of year of this, get some sense, not just of the money to preserve pharmacy, but what were the outcome benefits?
Yeah.
What would really be good, Tim, to know, I don't know if you can say it now, or look one day, how many scripts did you not have to turn away? How much polypharmacy did you help avoid? That could be a measurable outcome that Medicaid would want to know.
Let me give you an example. We have patients in our community that are on a, vulnerable patient. They have to get on a bus. They have to come to our pharmacy and things of that nature. We have a delivery service for those patients. It's a free delivery service. And we also, if they qualify and they're under certain income levels in our state Medicaid, we're looking for outcomes, right? That's what we really want.
Exactly.
So we try to put them on a compliancy packaging system. And we follow up with the patient on calls every month and things of that nature. It takes time. It takes resources to do that. But we are getting outcomes on disease states that's preventing the state from spending money for that patient going to the emergency room and, having heart attacks. We are looking for outcomes. Now, we need to be able to gauge those outcomes and to see or have some way to scientifically say this is the outcomes that we're getting. Now, I think her name is Rebecca Sneed with National Community Pharmacists Association. They're doing a study on this.
That's awesome.
And so that's what we really need. We need analytical data.
Yep.
But I applaud the movement that's going on. John has been a tremendous resource for us. Just everybody who is working diligently to try to fight these battles, because these battles are still going to happen.
And I appreciate you saying that, Tim. But you know what? It's people like you that are our members. Also, people on my team at IPC. If I can give you a little plug here for IPC, Todd. We have an amazing pharmacy services team that know these contracts in and out. I have our field sales team that they're telling us. That's how I got to know Tim, was through my colleagues. And our communications team has been top-notch. Tim, you see the grassroots we send out on these things to engage our members. I say basically it takes a lot of people to make me look good, but I may just be the face of it, but I'm not really the strength of what's behind it. But we're all good as the team we have working in this. And Todd, we're up against very, very powerful entities that have tremendous wealth and resources, and I've seen them lie with figures every day. It's not easy being on a side. It's a worthwhile and a noble fight when you're up against, Main Street's up against Wall Street. And that's what we're fighting every day. And people like Tim inspire me, and I enjoy what I do every day. But it's good to show and help give hope and hopefully a positive attitude to our members in other states. This can be done, and I've seen it since COVID and since Rutledge. We're building on success, and I think the federal wins have made people feeling we're turning the tide, and that's how wins beget more wins.
Right.
But Todd, I really appreciate what you do, because you're a beacon out there. These stories wouldn't be known if we didn't have Pharmacy Podcast out there to always have me back to tell these stories.
Heck yeah, and I want to thank you, Tim, for participating in the McKesson ideaShare press coverage. It's so important to get this out. There's so many pharmacy owners out there that didn't get to come, and they probably aren't hearing these stories, and I think it's going to bring hope to other pharmacy associations and the other state associations, but then other pharmacy owners, so thank you.
I appreciate it, Todd.
Well, thank you once again, Todd, for
Absolutely.
having us.
We'll be right back with more coverage of McKesson ideaShare 2026.
You've built your pharmacy through hard work and determination, and the right partner can help give you the tools to take it further. At Independent Pharmacy Cooperative, we're more than a GPO. We bring your team, your purchasing strategy, and the tools to expand your pharmacy. From digital health and connected care to new programs that give you a path to growth. That means smarter buying that protects your margin, modern tools that expand patient care, and new revenue streams that actually stick. Because when everything works together, your pharmacy doesn't just keep up, it grows. Independent Pharmacy Cooperative, giving you the freedom to farm.
Fellow Pennsylvanian Chris Darling, Coudersport, Pennsylvania. I can't even say that, Chris.
Yeah, it's a nice little town in northwestern rural Pennsylvania.
Okay. Northern Western, so up above Poconos.
We're probably an hour and a half, 2 hours from the Poconos, I think, at least that far. Really up above nowhere. Allegheny National Forest, just a beautiful area.
Yeah.
Erie, Warren, Wellsboro, Coudersport area.
Very cool.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time in Ohio Pile. down in Fayette County, Pennsylvania, which is more near West Virginia. But it's exciting to gather together. We're here in Denver. Independent community pharmacy is going through a play tectonic change. We're wrestling how to best use data, how to transfer from being focused on a dispensing fee versus, really taking care of our patients from more of a holistic perspective. But I want to hear from your perspective. What are you excited about as a pharmacy owner right now?
So, that is a great question, Todd, and one that I think that awareness, legislative awareness, I would say, is happening both at the state and federal level. I was down with Mark Kinney and the IPC team to D.C. A month or two ago, and we did some visits with some of the senators and House representatives, and everyone understands the issue. It's kind of getting it moving forward, though. There's some legislation federally for PBM reform, some that's going into effect in a few years, others that breaking up vertical integration, those type of things. And at the state level in Pennsylvania, it's been tough. We've lost, I'm one of the few pharmacies in that area. You could draw a 30-mile circle around me, and it's me. So we need change, and I feel like if we can get through that, there's, we kind of, the peaks and troughs of pharmacy, I think we're climbing back up out of this trough, and hopefully growth, new stores, resurgence of the excitement of some of us multi-store owners of adding stores rather than just kind of circling the wagons.
Yes. I'm glad you brought up vertical integration. Shout out to the state of Tennessee and Arkansas for putting in a bill that doesn't allow a PBM to own pharmacies within that state. That has to happen in all the other 48 states. It has to happen in Pennsylvania. It will bring the playing field back to the level that it should have been, and it will help to stop the bleeding of pharmacy deserts becoming rampant throughout the country, and your testimony, that being 30-mile radius, and it's your pharmacy that's the only healthcare provider entity out there. So what do we have to do from a legislative perspective to get our Congress in the state, and of course eventually the Senate, to understand the dangers of continuing to allow a PBM to own a pharmacy and then get to play its own game, where then it pushes out competition?
So I think certainly legislators like to hear from their constituents, right? And the messaging is very important. The message can't be, I'm suffering as an owner. They understand that, and that's a reality, but it needs to be at the patient level, access to care. Yep. They need to see that, that delivery to that woman that needed her medication didn't occur because the resources weren't there to get it to her, or they weren't able to get to the store to pick up something. It really needs to be grassroots at the store level, getting the end product, the patient to react, right? When we had the Rite Aid closures in Pennsylvania, we were saying the same things before that, right, as owners, but patients started to say things, I can't get my medication, I'm struggling with this, and that healthcare crisis that we did have, and it was a crisis in some of our rural areas, that brought it to light, and it has to be at the patient level. We just need to grassroots type campaign and call and work on that with our legislators.
That's awesome. Chris Darling, got to have you back on the shows. We're going to be doing some more with independent community pharmacies at the local level. We want to know what's working at the local level to help you grow revenue, stand out in your community as a unique healthcare provider. We appreciate you being on the show.
Yeah, thank you, Todd. I appreciate it.
Ollin Sykes here at McKesson ideaShare 2026. Ollin, thank you for stopping by.
Todd, appreciate the opportunity to be with you.
Very important account to the membership and the usage of intelligence on your team for Pharmacy Podcast Network. We really appreciate the Bottom Line podcast and the information that comes out there. Talk to us about this show. How has this show been for you guys?
This show has been really good from the perspective of seeing so many of our existing McKesson-based clients we don't travel around visiting our pharmacies across the country. We see them mostly at the trade shows. So these major trade shows are always important to see existing clients. In addition, we have obviously had some pretty good success in the last couple of days in talking to new opportunities. So it's a combination of both as far as we're concerned. And we had another show this weekend to attend. We had another group at the Georgia show, but we try to attend 15 to 20 shows a year.
Ollin, what is the basic factors for our pharmacy owners in the realm of taxes, especially with growth? I think of long-term care pharmacy at home expansion. If they're not using Sykes and Company as their accountant, what are some of the heads up in expanding your business, going from one pharmacy, multiple pharmacies? Is there anything that...
Oh, my goodness. It all boils down, Todd, to having the fundamental accrual accounting in place for these pharmacies.
Okay.
So many pharmacies are operating out of their checkbook. They don't have a clue where they are. And obviously with third-party receivables as it is today, with MFP as it is, with the Beacon system, with perpetual inventory systems, and with all the major script management systems now, pretty much allowing for perpetual inventory, allowing those adjustments to occur each month for receivables, inventory, payables. All that is key to knowing exactly where you are. And if you're looking at expanding by buying files or going to further opportunities with new stores that are being offered to you, and with the transitions that are taking place in this industry right now, it's more important than ever before to know exactly where you are on an accrual basis. For tax purposes is another matter. You might want to be looking at cash basis accounting for tax purposes if you're allowed to do that, if you fall within the realms of the IRS rules. But accrual-based accounting monthly with the adjustments, not at year-end with the adjustments, but monthly is critical.
What are you seeing as some of the pitfalls of a lot of the pharmacy owners out there who might not be clients, and what stories have you heard about tripping in your business and not doing what's right, and that causing additional harm to the business, even above and beyond PBMs?
Well, it's sometimes when they go to want to sell files or sell they may have multiple operations inside of one entity, and there's no separation of accounting between the multiple entities. Sometimes that's an issue with one balance sheet and maybe one P&L. They've got 2 or 3 different enterprises that are running through their P&L. That's a potential problem. But again, having each pharmacy stand on its own with a separate balance sheet, separate P&L is very critical to understanding what's taking place within this industry. And there's just so many pharmacies out there today. It's beyond me why this isn't more recognized than it is within the industry. But it's not, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yep. All right. What's the next show that the team's going to?
We've got the NCP Ownership Workshop, I think around the 10th of July, that Bonnie and I will be there, Bonnie Bond. Then we'll be at, of course, Syncora and Cardinal, latter part of July, I believe, both of which in Orlando, so we'll be there.
We can't wait to see you. We'll be at, I think, the Thought Spot with Syncora as well, and we'll make sure to get you guys on the schedule.
Absolutely. Glad to help you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Todd. Appreciate it.
Sykes & Company is a proud member of the Pharmacy Podcast Network. Listen to their podcast, Master the Margin, where they discuss key topics and insights around pharmacy accounting. Master the Margin stays up to date with the changing pharmacy legal landscape and helps your pharmacy stay ahead of the curve. Listen now on your favorite podcast platform.
Hey, welcome, Diana. This is the first time on the show. We're so excited to have you here at the McKesson ideaShare. I hadn't heard about GoMango Meds, and this is why I'm excited you're here. So talk to us. What is the product? What is it? How does it help to impact independent community pharmacy?
Yeah, so we've been around for about 3 years. We came into the marketplace with a belief that there is an enormous opportunity to help independent pharmacies take back control of their cash pricing. And that they needed a solution that would do that for them, that they could trust. So we established GoMango as as a direct-to-retail solution. We have built and run our own adjudicator. We aren't dependent upon anybody else. We looked at the admin fee structures that are in the marketplace, and we have very intentionally come in at the very low end of that market. Our pricing and our entire offering is transparent. We don't sign any long-term contracts. We don't require pharmacies to pay us anything up front. If you don't use us, we don't get paid. But really what distinguishes us in the marketplace is the customized program that we establish that optimizes pricing over time. And what we do is we work with each and every pharmacy that comes to us to obtain a file. And when we obtain that file, it allows us to analyze their data and establish a customized pricing list so that when they start using us, we first of all, we do begin the optimization process, but we also simultaneously minimize the disruption that's going to happen by the adoption of a new cash program. And then we monitor and manage that program for each pharmacy. So this is NPI specific. And that's another aspect of the customization is that, we have multi-pharmacy groups. We take the direction of the owner, senior manager as to how they want to operate. When we take in, like for example, if we took in the files for a 5-pharmacy group, we would analyze all of them. The pharmacy group will then tell us, I would like to set up one consistent price list across all my pharmacies, or I would like them to be NPI specific. We can show them what the profit increase opportunity is for either of those scenarios, and we can set up either way for the pharmacy owner depending upon what they want. And I think all of that together makes us unique, and our goal is, we don't work for anybody else. We don't work for another PBM. We're not a marketing organization. We are pharmacy operations people that have come into the market and believe, honestly, that it hasn't been a fair fight for independents. And that we have the skills and the experience to re-empower them. We think that over time, discount cards and other programs have basically eroded trust. And the majority of pharmacies we talk to, interestingly enough, what they do is they self-price. And as valiant as that is, and as well-intentioned as it is, it's very. I think we pretty much, after analyzing hundreds and hundreds of files, we've never seen one where there isn't an enormous amount of sub-optimization that we can't fix for them. So we're here to help.
That's great. That's great. So agnostic to the pharmacy management system, it's just the export of a file that you're looking for. Talk to us about the technicalities of how it works.
Yeah, I share a data template with the pharmacies that express sincere interest in working with us. They share a file back. We also we share a confidentiality agreement up front. It's our commitment, that and our legal binding commitment that we are not going to do anything nefarious with your data. And from there, as quickly as the pharmacy gets us a file, we take anywhere from a week to 10 days to analyze that. The pharmacies get a comprehensive analysis back of what is happening in their entire cash, in the cash portion of their book of business. It's a very valuable strategic tool. And quite frankly, if a pharmacy doesn't want to move forward from there, they have that from us. We've learned in the marketplace that other organizations, consultancies mainly, have charged hundreds of dollars for that. It's a free thing that we do up front to earn the confidence of the pharmacies we want to work with. But as we're doing that, we also set up that customized price list, and that pharmacy can begin testing right away. And being here at ideaShare, and within the Health Mart Atlas world, we are a perks vendor, and we have a special deal. We offer 3 months free testing. So actually, the benefit to the pharmacy is our normal $1.10 admin fee. They don't even have to pay that for 3 months. We've tried to remove every barrier. So you can test for 3 months with no admin fee. And if we see, don't quote me on this, but it's in the fine print, but I think if they run at least 100 claims a month for those 3 months, we'll extend that runway two more months. So they'll get 5 months free. So it's plenty of time to determine how it's working for you, and then we provide monthly reporting that shows if we're working for you. And because we have no long-term contracts, they can stop at any time.
That's great.
We're really proud of the fact that Health Mart Atlas has, that via the Perks program, we are the only cash solution promoted through Perks, even, overtop their own internal program. They've shared that with us. So it's really been a strong endorsement. We're already serving a number of longtime Health Mart customers, and we would be honored to serve more and help them. The ones that come on and start using our custom solution, we just don't lose them because it's such a good solution that works, removes administrative headache, improves profitability, stabilizes and rationalizes pricing, and overall is just a really good addition to their overall toolkit to being a successful independent pharmacy. And at the bottom of it, what we want to do is we really just want to re-empower pharmacies to be confident about growing their cash, because that is the one area of their business that they have full control over. But yet, for the most part, the industry has ceded control over to the big cash card programs that are out there. And so that's at the heart of why we created this company, and I have a very passionate and incredibly talented team behind me, and we're just excited every day when we talk to pharmacies and they're like, thank you. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for helping us. Thank you for making this headache go away. I didn't know how to fix this problem.
Diana, I really appreciate you being on the McKesson ideaShare podcast press show. Excited that you got to be here. We'd like to have you back on This Week in Pharmacy on Twerks, so I'll be reaching out to you and your team. But tell our listeners, how do they get a hold of you? Where should they go to learn more?
Yeah, you can find us most easily on our website, www.gomangomeds, just like it sounds, GOMANGOMEDS.com. You can reach us there. Of course, if you're at ideaShare, you should come over and talk to us at our booth. We do get around to a lot of conferences across the United States. But yeah, the website is probably the easiest way.
Okay.
And you can also reach me on my email. It's diana@gomangomeds.com.
Great.
And I'd love to hear from you. We'd love to help.
We'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much.
Hi, this is Sam Pizzo with LSPedia, and you're listening to the Pharmacy Podcast.
Sam, thanks for stopping by in the IPC booth, talking at the McKesson ideaShare. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too, Todd.
You and I have been in the business for some time. We've watched each other's careers kind of make shifts. LSPedia is an important part of this ecosystem. We've talked with him with MatchRx during a campaign that we had to really bring more attention. But let's update the listeners if they don't know. What is LSPedia?
So LSPedia is a serialization company that provides track and trace solutions to not just the dispensers in the industry, but all the stakeholders within the ecosystem, from the pharmaceutical manufacturers to the wholesalers and to the dispensers and everyone that touches it in between. So we have connections. We provide the services across the entire system, not just with dispensers. That's what makes us a leader in the space.
So the DSCSA compliancy was extremely confusing. First it was on, then it had a date, then it changed, then it went, independent communities had to do it this way, chains had to do it this way. Can you give us an update of what's actually going on with DSCSA?
Yeah, they have put another hold, they did last year until November of this year, for smaller dispensers. Dispensers that have less than 25 licensed employees. So basically the pharmacists and the technicians. But the larger guys all need to be need to be compliant. They need to be following the rules and taking care of what they need to do from a regulatory standpoint. Coming this year, November 27th, that will be the final deadline. There are people saying that it's going to get delayed because there has been so many delays in the past. I don't see it being delayed. I think it's been pushed back far enough where everyone's going to have to be compliant. So it's important for the smaller pharmacies and everyone that's not doing something today to get in line. You don't want to wait till the last minute. You wait till the last minute, you're going to have a backlog. There won't be, it doesn't matter if you're working with LSPedia or someone else, you're not going to have the, you won't be guaranteed that you'll be compliant on the first day. So it's important to start looking at a solution today.
Is LSPedia also giving our pharmacy owners the documentation of how to react maybe to an audit? How does that work?
No, that's a great question. The part of our tool is a standard operating procedure. It's an outline that we provide to the pharmacies, and we encourage them to make that one of the first things you do and lay out what your plans are if you have a suspect product. Where are you going to, where's your quarantine area? Who's trained on it? You've got to lay all those pieces out. So we do provide the pharmacies with the dispensers with the tools that they need, including a standard operating procedure.
All right, I'm listening to the show. I wasn't able to attend ideaShare. What's the best way to reach out and get a hold of you?
So best way is to come on our website, www.lspedia.com, and you can navigate within that our website. All the information's there.
All right, Sam, thank you so much for taking your time to be on the show. This is important that people understand this information. If there's any questions, you can't get a hold of Sam, or just reach out to us. I'll get you in touch with Sam. Sam, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Todd.
Hello friends, my name is Emlah Tubuo. I own Powell Pharmacy in Powell, Ohio, and the Integrative Pharmacist Academy. And you are listening to the Pharmacy Podcast.
Emlah, it's so good to have you on the show. Welcome to ideaShare, McKesson's ideaShare 2026. How are you?
I am doing good. Thank you for having me, Todd. Yeah.
So you're kind of a superstar because your picture's everywhere. And you're on the IPC's website, and I see you other places. So when I saw you in person, I was like, is that like a keynote speaker? Or, so I had to get you on the show.
Well, I am honored to be on the show. I have seen many superstars on the show, so I'm just honored to be listed among the.
Well, my favorite interviews are with pharmacy operators and owners who really dig into the whole spirit of what is pharmacy and the business of pharmacy. Mm-hmm. It's under drastic stress right now. It's under change. We're moving from just getting reimbursed by a dispensing fee to start making money as providers of consultation and education. What are you most excited about being a pharmacy owner?
I'm most excited about the fact that our ability to generate revenue and take care of patients has no limit. And I just can't wait for the day where every pharmacy owner can not only realize that, but actually take advantage of it. So right now we have at least a faint idea that there are other opportunities to generate revenue apart from billing insurance and complaining about declining reimbursements. But I am not saying, don't get me wrong here, I served as a trustee for District 9 for Ohio Pharmacists Association. I'm all for advocation, and I want us to advocate and to be able to fight the PBM fight. But in the meantime, the tagline for my pharmacy is there's a lot more to health than prescriptions. So we're not going to sit in the back row of the room and complain. We're going to step up, and we're going to take care of patients, and we're going to get paid for doing that, forgetting about the insurance. So patients are desiring, patients want to be taken care of. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, I want to go to the pharmacy to just pick up some simvastatin. No, they want to feel better, and they'll pay us to feel better. So we need to figure out ways to give the patient what they need so they have the outcomes, and then they'll pay us for this so we can generate revenue. And we feel better doing it, and that's what it is to be a pharmacy owner and a pharmacist.
I love that. I love the whole attitude, because that is the proactive way of being a pharmacy. Instead of, hey, I'm not a sick care destination, I am a health care destination, and we're doing much more than just dispensing a medication.
Yes. And what I have done at my pharmacy, so knowing that, as a pharmacy owner, we all desire to take care of patients and generate revenue. But then we have to realize that we have tools and resources that we can use. And the successful pharmacy owner is the one that makes the most use of their resources. And so at my pharmacy, about 70% of our revenue is generated from non-prescription services, so wellness services. And this is my goal, to be able to teach other pharmacists how to do what I have done and to be able to enjoy doing it. So we have used FullScript in a way that in my mind, there should not be a single independent pharmacy in the US that is not using FullScript, because that has really helped us to leverage this wellness dispensing. $63 billion is what patients have spent in the wellness industry in the past few years. Just think about that. The Council for Responsible Nutrition says about 70 to 74% of patients are taking supplements. They're buying this on Instagram, TikTok, Amazon, from people who do not have clinical knowledge. And pharmacists are here shying away from the conversation. So FullScript has given me the tools to be able to discuss dietary supplements with confidence. And I serve as a KOL for FullScript, so I work with FullScript to be able to help other pharmacists to get on board, because these patients are going to buy the supplements either from GNC or Amazon or TikTok, someplace else. Meanwhile, 74% of these patients are coming from the pharmacy, and we're apt. We're equipped with the drug interaction reports. One thing that FullScript gives me is the ability to say if you come to the pharmacy and you're taking levothyroxine, and you're like, oh, I heard about ashwagandha, my sister is taking ashwagandha, or my friend is taking ashwagandha, and I want to take it. I'll be like, no, Todd, I don't want you to take ashwagandha because you are on levothyroxine. As your pharmacist, I would prefer that you take L-theanine. Those are the tools that I have as your pharmacist. If you were buying this at a vitamin shop down the line, they will not have this for you down the street. So that's why, as a pharmacist, I'm better placed to take care of these services for you. And you're going to pay me for that consultation, and you're going to pay me once I sell that L-theanine to you.
That's so cool.
And you feel better.
Tell us how FullScript works from the very beginning, and then also tell me about the interaction between the pharmacy system information and FullScript and like the whole ecosystem.
So the way I look at it is, once you, as a pharmacy owner, let's assume that you're a pharmacy owner now and you're interested in providing wellness services for your patients. So first of all, we have the collaboration with FullScript and IPC, which I'm very excited about, and the reason is that the IPC pharmacists are getting specific discounts, pricing that other pharmacists are not getting. But here's the deal. When I talk with pharmacy owners, the first hesitation that they talk about selling supplements is the overhead. You have to order the supplements, and then you stock them in the pharmacy, and maybe some people would not buy them, and then they get expired on you, and that's just waste of time, energy, and effort. So, but what FullScript does is that if you sign up for a FullScript account, the first thing is that you don't even have to stock these supplements. So if I come into your pharmacy and I say I'm looking for ashwagandha and you don't have it on hand, you can give me, FullScript will create a QR code for you, and which I can scan and place that order, and FullScript is going to ship it to my home. FullScript ships it to my home as the patient, and you never touch the product as a pharmacy owner. But you get that profit margin. That profit margin comes to you.
It's like as if it was on your shelf.
Exactly. And FullScript communicates with the patient on your behalf. So that's the first advantage. But secondly, if there are certain things that you're beginning to sell a lot, FullScript also offers you the opportunity to order those wholesale and stock them on your shelf. So consider FullScript as, you think of McKesson, you're wholesaling your prescriptions, buying your prescriptions from McKesson, but FullScript is like the #1 wholesaler for supplements. That's the first thing. You have access to over 370 different brands, and they're all third-party tested, pharmaceutical grade. And not only that, you have resources on FullScript, so you can go and click on there and say, I want some information about probiotics. So you want to give your patients a one-pager on probiotics. You just type in there on our resources side. We have researchers on FullScript who have come to put together these patient-friendly resources. And you can give out these to your patients and say, what is a probiotic? What the hell is a CFU? And how do you put probiotics on your plate in terms of food? How do you put nutrient-dense foods on your plate? So FullScript is looking at it from a whole person perspective, whole patient care. So it's not just in addition to, it's not just the supplements, movement, nutrition. So we're giving all the lifestyle recommendations. This is what people want to do, feel better. So that's the second benefit, not just the supplements, then the resources that go with the supplements, and then the drug interaction for FullScript Assist, which has the drug interaction templates that we can put in prescriptions and drug and supplements, and we figure out what interactions and which ones we can replace with. So those are the tools that, as a clinical pharmacist, I need to take care of my patients. And I'm going to take it one step further, if you would allow me.
Yeah.
So right now, patients, let's talk about inflammation for a second, okay? We know that inflammation is a driver of most chronic diseases, right? So if you and I are twin brother and sister, we have similar genetic component and we both have high blood pressure, and I have a higher level of inflammation and you have a lower level of inflammation, you're going to outdo me. You're going to live well and do fine. But with inflammation, it just makes everything worse. So the goal is to measure inflammation and reduce it. Basic thing like that. So C-reactive protein is just an easy biomarker that we can measure. So FullScript gives me the ability as an independent pharmacist to be able to measure all these biomarkers. I can measure your vitamin D, I can measure your magnesium, I can measure your LP(a), ApoB, all the new cholesterol guidelines. I can measure hundreds and hundreds of biomarkers and be able to make supplement recommendations with confidence. Turnkey model already set up. So as an IPC pharmacist, if you sign up for FullScript today, you are dedicated as FullScript Success Manager. Somebody's going to do a demo for you, 30 minutes, show you how to use the platform, and all these services are already on their turnkey. You don't have to do anything. Like, you already have that clinical knowledge from pharmacy school. So please use it to take care of the patients. Don't let it die with you in there. We need it as your patients.
I love it. I love it. We have to have you back on This Week in Pharmacy, where we can talk more about what FullScript has done for your business.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for being on the show here at the McKesson ideaShare podcast press coverage. Thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me, Todd.